All right. So this subject is, uh, we'll call it hauntings slash paranormal events. This particular event is at one of the most famous haunting places of the Myrtles Plantation in St Francisville, Louisiana. So if you're into the paranormal and ghost things and YouTube channels, you've probably seen a ton of material on the Myrtles. It's actually a really beautiful place. The whole area of St. Francisville is beautiful, beautiful. Um, and historically speaking, um, it sits on the banks of the Mississippi River, um, roughly 30-40 minutes north of Baton Rouge. And it was in the path of a earthquake. I don't know how long, million years ago, whatever. If you're familiar with the Mississippi River and the fault line that runs all the way up to Ohio, I believe, um, you'll see that when the quake happened, the right side or the east side lifted, while the left side remained completely flat, and it either created the Mississippi River or gave it its depth and or changed different courses, etc. And part of that created certain areas such as St. Francisville, which is very hilly, and that whole area. Um, and led to some interesting history. Uh, Folks on the West Bank back in the 16, 17, 1800s would come over and do their burial in St. Francisville on the East Bank, so that they had their cemetery burials on high ground because of the Mississippi flooding, etc., prior to all the levees. Um, Quite fascinating, in my opinion. Also, so the one thing fascinating about the plantations is that, so apart from all the politically things, in today's new age, yes, I agree that there were some absolutely horrific things that occurred with the whole slavery thing, but I'm not commenting about that right now. What I'm speaking about is some other interesting developmental things, such as, in large part, uh, a lot of the majority of the landscaping industry, for example, which is one of my industries and backgrounds, so I'm familiar with that. Um, as those plantation owners and so forth brought over exotic plants from the Far East and Asia's, um, and developed that, and including the Myrtle Plantation, they had a part of that, and they had a huge variety of history. You can see and hear a lot of that in the other videos, but so I'm not going to get into that. But I will say, since I'm from this area and I've been up to that area a lot, because it offers a lot of hiking and camping and a lot of other things. I've actually personally been to the Myrtles a lot of times, starting off as a kid. So while I'm not going to confess that I'm some expert on the Myrtles Plantation, I will say that I'm very familiar with the grounds. Okay. Um, Up until this point, which was in um, 2004, um, I've never experienced, excuse me, personally, I've never experienced anything um, And I've never seen anything. I've never felt anything. I've never experienced anything. Likewise, I will admit I've never been there at night that I know of or that I can recall. And I've never been on one of their tours, which they have greatly expanded now through their Airbnb and other things that they do, which I believe is a very smart marketing thing. Apparently, that's paid off. And in truth, that's partly my story that led up to my story. Now, here's the kicker. There's a couple of stories and paranormal experiences, etc., that in my original introduction, I said that I may or may not discuss, and or may not discuss it on different platforms or with different venues with different people, etc. So please don't get angry, but this is one of those stories that I'm not ready to fully come out with. Okay. For years, I have thought about telling this story. I've had a lot of mixed feelings because I don't want it to do the exact opposite of my intentions. My intentions are to make people aware of the possible dangers of the property, while at the same time, I have no malice nor ill will towards the owners and their abilities to make their livelihood and their money. I do not wish to do that. And also, I understand that as crazy as people are, the more bizarre this story is, or any other story, the more people are going to actually run out there to see it for themselves. It becomes more of a carrot, for people to say, I've got to see that. I have to experience that myself. I partly understand that, but in a way I don't. All I know is that my children and family were never allowed to step foot on the property after this incident. And I've done some research on it, but not enough. Now that I'm doing this video, after this video, I'm going to go ahead and try to get in touch with the owners and discuss it with them. I will say this. I did not see anything with my own eyes. I did not encounter any of the typical experiences that people see. There's Chloe and a couple other people, the kids and others, that are very common experiences of people seeing. As far as I can recollect, I've never heard of anybody seeing anything that they felt was malevolent or evil or a problematic thing that would scare them in the sense that they were in danger. But most common experiences are people seeing things, capturing things with their camera, or seeing things with their own eyes, such as a person or an image, some ghostly figure, etc. I will admit and say in here, I have not. And this was not about that. I will say this. I will make a generalization so that if anybody else had something to do with this and you're willing to step forward on comments below or email me, bobsparanormal@gmail.com, BOBS paranormal@gmail.com. I will be able to and be willing to discuss that with you privately. And I will tell you everything that I experienced privately. or in some sort of private group chat. I have yet to establish like a private Facebook group. I'll look into that. So if there's others that have experienced things at the Myrtles that are interested in that, perhaps I'll do it in that environment. Sorry, don't mean to disappoint. For the most part, there's only one other story that I don't tell the whole story. Only to, again, people very close, and people closest to me, and my whole family and closest people I know, they've only heard the full story of something else. There's only been 3 or 4 people that have heard that. But my story has to do with an experience within the courtyard. There is a brick courtyard at the rear of the house that is in between what was prior as the kitchen, that is now part of the gift shop and the main house. Okay, so the house and the gift shop form like an L shape, and the courtyard is in the center. Okay. I will say this. Basically, what I understand as a doorway, okay, a portal. I will say that I found and got it and was entangled in a portal. And I will say this. Of all my experiences that you'll hear throughout these videos, if you continue to watch, couple of those stories, the average person would think would qualify to be one of the most scariest experiences of a lifetime, and they were. But this story was absolutely the most terrifying experience of my life, and absolutely, without doubt, without question, nothing in my life compares to the terrifying experience of this. And that's why I do not allow my family members or anybody else that I know dear to step foot on the property. Again, this is not a marketing gig. I'm not being paid by Myrtles Plantation to say something like this, to create some new buzz or marketing scheme, to go out and go experience it. Nor do I want to, again, I'm trying to walk a fine line between, I encourage no one to go. I'll admit that. Or if you do go, please bring folks with you, please. And hopefully no children. And, but I also wish no ill will upon the owners. Okay. So I will say that I'll narrow it down to say that this story has to do during the daytime by myself in the courtyard, and involving a portal. And maybe later I'll feel better, more comfortable about it, just nilly-willy telling that story across the web. So if you have any questions or comments, please comment below. If you're upset with me and feel cheated that I won't talk about the whole thing, I apologize. I'm not trying, it's not a marketing thing. I'm pretty good at marketing, but this is not a marketing thing. I'm just not ready to release that fully to a full open audience, as compared to a concentrated audience of specific people that have their own specific experiences that can partly relate to this experience. So if you feel that you're one of those people, please, again, comment below, send me an email, and I wish you all the best. And I'll continue with some other stories. Okay, thank you.